Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to RuckU News, Series 4. It's not really a series, is it? It's a bulletin. Hence my laptop, they have that on the BBC News, don't they? They probably don't have a cup of coffee. Anyway, so, very formal. Coming to the end of the season, obviously, a lot of player movement. New Zealand exodus, as some papers are saying, obviously the tabloid version. Nick Evans is coming to Harlequins. Dan Carter, rumours he might be going to Leicester. Bollocks. What do you go to Leicester for? Jerry Collins, apparently on his way up, although Jerry says it's rubbish. Jerry Collins, great guy. Well, we did, a few years ago, did some corporate stuff with some of our clients, with him, Tana and Richie McCall. And we got to the end, we did small sort of intimate lunches, dinners, whatever. We got to this last dinner, and this one of the guys said, listen, do any of you three play other sports? Tana was very good. I said, oh, he's played golf. And Richie, captain in waiting then, was sort of like, oh, he used to play a bit of cricket. No, and Richie, he was opening bowler, fast, but we took all the wickets. Probably number 3 batsman, wicket keeper and umpire. But we got to Jerry, and Jerry said, oh, me and Yibra. He said, me and my mates in the island. He said, yeah, we used to like to catch birds. And I sort of looked at him, he said, no, feathered variety. He said, we like to pull their heads off. He said it was really good fun, Fucking top boy. So all the New Zealanders are leaving New Zealand. I wonder why. Newcastle, Flood and Tate on the move, with a year left of their contract, but the club wants to get rid of them. Oh yeah, you would really, wouldn't you? So those boys are off, leaving the Geordies League. I went to university in Durham. Obviously didn't do much work, as you can tell, but it was a great place to learn how to take a good kicking. We used to play places like Concert. Big miners, hadn't got a lot to do, so they used to kick the shit out of the students. Take that, you posh jolting bastard. They were great, actually. Mind you, after game, like, you'd say, your women are alright, quite canny, film bags and all that, like, you're alright, you posh gear. Phil Davis, I like that. Well, I don't actually. You can imagine him reading his paper in the office. Reading is stretching the imagination, isn't it, down there in the valleys. But anyway, he was reading his paper. Whoa. Are you being fired? Fuck. And that's how we found out. That's man management for you, isn't it? Declan Kidney, going to be the next Irish coach. But he's sharp, isn't he? Not till after the tour to New Zealand and Australia. To be sure, he's sharp. And the end of the Guinness Premiership. I have to say, sad as it is, you look at who's going to be in the playoffs. Gloucester, Bath, I would say Sale and Wasps. I'd say, unfortunately, I think Quins will lose out, which is a great shame. But I think the Gloucester boys will be there, legends that they are. And I know Taz has been talking about, someone asked about sort of the Gloucester boys, and to me, the greatest of all of them is Mike Teague. And there's a true story which sort of sums up him, and probably the mental age of the rest of us. Early 90s, when we played at Twickenham, we always used to stay in the Richmond Hotel, Petersham Hotel, lovely hotel, and go down after all the usual psychology and all that. Friday night, go down and watch whatever was the most violent film. Local cinema. When we played away, obviously didn't do that because we were too scared to venture out of the hotel. So the forwards would just bring loads of videos, some of which were quite interesting. And true story, Irish game, night before, Friday night, they'd chosen this Arnold Schwarzenegger film called Predator. Very excited they were, the forwards. Dinner, they ate most of it with cutlery. And so we headed off into the team room, and it was brilliant. All forwards sat on the chairs, backs we sat cross-legged on the floor, pulling each other's hair. And only 20-25 minutes we had to wait for one of the forwards actually worked out how to use a video machine. Anyway, So then we were watching Predator, and it was great. You have to wait 15-20 minutes for Arnie to have his first line. And he's been shot, you know, with basically his arms hanging off. And someone has to point this out to him because it's that hard. So it says, you know, Arnie, can't remember what his name was. You're bleeding. Well, he looks down at his arm and he goes, I ain't got time to bleed. Well, the forwards thought this was brilliant, you know, sandwiches in the air, the whole lot. The backs, we didn't know what was so funny, but we laughed anyway and stroked their legs just to keep them happy. And then eventually things calmed down. About 20-25 minutes later, Arnie had his second and last line. All his mates had been killed by this creature. And he stands there with this huge machine gun and he just looks intently at the camera and goes, payback time. Well, that was it. Chairs went the whole lot, you know. Forwards went berserk. I actually got quite scared, so I went to bed. I did my hair and went to bed. And slept quite well because I thought, you know, it's 12 hours to breakfast. With our forwards, you know, a long time. So I was slightly concerned when I got to breakfast and a few of the forwards were there trying the lines. We weren't getting them right, but they were trying them. And I said, come on guys, you know, we're playing Ireland today. So I ran out and playing the Irish, you're pissing with an unusual thing. About 20 minutes into this game, Tiggy gets injured. And I ran over to see him. And I know you don't like to have your favourites, and you've only sort of admitted afterwards, but he was one of mine. Anyway, I ran over to see him. Actually, people used to say to me, mate, you're a useless captain, which is true. But you're very caring. You always used to go and see your injured players. I had to explain to him, I said, there's nothing to do with the players. It was the only time I knew I'd be on TV. Anyway, so I'm standing over Tiggy, and he's lying there, and Kevin Murphy, our physio's there, and all that, the doctor, and I look up, and he's bleeding, which for me would be curtains. So as a good captain does, I said, shit, Tiggy. I said, you're bleeding. No jokes, he opened his eyes. He looks up at me, he goes, well, ain't got time to bleed. And he stands up, and he looked at me, looked at the Irish, and just went, payback time. And he ran off. And I never forget this little French referee was standing there looking at me, and I went, I think he's alright. He's from Gloucester. See you next week.